My wife's wealthy family humiliated me at our anniversary party by serving divorce papers and stripping me of everything I'd earned building their empire. I spent months quietly documenting their illegal construction shortcuts, bribes, and offshore accounts, then handed it all to the feds. Now their legacy projects are rubble. I turned their flagship failure into affordable housing, and my ex is hawking mid-tier condos while her dad faces prison. The champagne flute felt like a prop in my hand. Clara's family always used the good stuff, the kind that bubbles too sharp like swallowing needles. I stood in the unfinished penthouse of the Harbor Crest development, exposed rebar clawing at the ceiling above us, and tried to remember how to breathe. 10 years. 10 years of marriage, and she'd thrown me a surprise anniversary party in a concrete shell her father's money had built. My crews had laid every brick in this place. Speech. Clara's brother, Drew, shouted from the back. His phone was out, filming as always. The contractors I used to boss around, guys I'd shared burnt coffee with at 6 a.m. site meetings, snickered into their glasses. They'd all been told to wear suits. My tie itched. Clara stepped forward, her smile the kind she used to reserve for charity galas. "Ethan," she said, too loud like I was a dog that needed heel training. "This project, it's been such a journey." Her father hovered behind her, thumbs hooked into his $3,000 belt. "We want to give you something permanent." She held out a gift box. The ribbon was silver, same as our wedding colors. For a stupid second, I thought it might be cufflinks. She got me a pair our first Christmas, back when she still pretended to like my salt of the earth charm. "So you don't look like a foreman at dinner," she'd said. I tore the paper. Inside was a framed photo of the Harbor Crest rendering, gleaming glass, happy couples strolling the rooftop garden. The caption read, "Our legacy." Drew snorted. Legacy of what? His high school diploma. A few of the contractors cough-laughed. Clara's mother patted my arm like I was a misbehaving toddler. "Don't make a scene, Ethan. It's beneath you." Then Clara pulled out the envelope. I knew what it was before she said it. The paper was too crisp, the kind her family's lawyer used. "We've outgrown each other," she said, not meeting my eyes. Her father passed her a pen. "Sign where tabbed. The prenup's airtight, but we're being generous." My hands didn't shake. That's the part that sticks with me. I flipped through the pages, half the words swimming. Relinquishes all claims to joint assets, forfeiture of shares. Shares I'd earned building their damn empire. Drew zoomed in on my face. "Smile, Ethan. You're part of history now." I looked at Clara. Really looked. 10 years, and I couldn't find the woman who'd once dragged me to Coney Island at midnight because she'd never eaten a hot dog like a normal person. This Clara was mannequin smooth, Botox to indifference. "Why here?" I asked. Her father answered. "Poetry. You break ground here, we break you here." He nodded at the contract. "Sign, or we'll sue you for the balcony collapse in Queens." The Queens job, where a drunk inspector had okayed rotten beams, where I'd taken a fall while they greased palms. I scrawled my name on every tab line, let the pen clatter onto the concrete. "Happy anniversary," I said. Clara's smile twitched. They'd wanted tears, maybe begging. I gave them nothing. The elevator ride down took forever. The family's logo glared at me from every wall. Wickham Developments, building futures. My reflection in the brass doors looked the same as it had that morning. Same scar from a nail gun mishap on my jaw, same Walmart watch. But something had calcified. I was halfway to my truck when I saw it, a hairline crack in the Harbor Crest foundation wall, snaking up from the soil like a vine. "The soil report's off," I told him 6 months ago. "We need to reinforce before." "Stay in your lane," her father had snapped. I crouched, running my thumb over the crack. Cold seeped through my dress pants. The concrete was damp, not from rain, from the water table they'd ignored. My phone buzzed. A text from Clara. "Leave the keys to the company truck at security." I stood, knees popping, and texted back, "Keep the truck, or it's cheaper to walk away from." Then I drove to the 24-hour diner off Route 9, ordered a black coffee, and spread the prenups pages across the sticky booth. The waitress side-eyed me. "Rough night." "Anniversary," I said. By sunrise, I'd circled 7 clauses that stank worse than the Harbor Crest Foundation. The Wickhams thought they'd buried me in legal gravel, but they'd forgotten I know how to dig. The diner coffee had turned to sludge in my veins by the time I showed up at Carter Builders. The rival contractor's office smelled like stale cigarettes and ambition. Marty Carter, a guy with a handshake like a vice and a beard that hid his lack of a chin, leaned back in his chair. "Heard you got Wickham." "Heard you need someone who knows their foundations," I said. He smirked, tossed me a hard hat. "Welcome to the underdog crew." The job was a shitbox apartment complex the Wickhams had lost interest in. Too small, too working class. My crew was a ragtag mix of rookies and burnouts. I kept my head down, rebarred walls, and ignored the way they side-eyed me when they thought I wasn't looking. There's the guy who married a Wickham. There's the guy who got kicked to the curb. But here's the thing about concrete. It doesn't care who you are. It just wants to be mixed right. 3 weeks in, I found a recorder. It was tucked inside my old tool belt, the one I'd grabbed from my locker on the way out of Wickham Developments. The belt was frayed, still caked with Harbor Crest dust. I kept it out of habit, maybe spite, but when I sliced open the lining to patch a tear, the little black device fell into my palm, blinking red. Still alive. I crushed it under my boot in the porta potty, the plastic snapping like bone. They'd been listening. For how long? Months? Years? I thought of Clara's laugh, sharp as a nail gun, when I joked about her father's toupee at dinner. Thought of the way her brother always dropped by the site before inspections. That night, I drove to the Queen's site, the one with the collapsed balcony. Chain link fence, yellow caution tape flapping in the wind. I climbed over, flashlight between my teeth. The beams were still there, splintered and sour with rot. I took photos time-stamped until my phone died. Then I heard it, a car idling. Marcus stepped out of a BMW that had seen better decades. Cousin Marcus, the black sheep who'd gotten a DUI at the family's Christmas party and never lived it down. He lit a cigarette, the flame trembling in his cupped hand. They'll fire me if they catch me here. Why risk it? He kicked a chunk of concrete. Remember Uncle Frank? I did. Frank was Clara's uncle, a guy who wore overalls to board meetings and talked about unionizing the crews. Died in a forklift accident 2 years back. So, wasn't an accident. Marcus exhaled smoke. Frank was going to blow the whistle on the bribes. The inspectors, the zoning permits, all of it. Dad said he tripped. But Frank's boots? Laces were cut. The wind picked up, carrying the stink of wet cement. Why tell me? Because you're dumb enough to do something about it. He flicked the cigarette at my feet. And I'm tired of being the family drunk. I started small. At the Carter site, I misplaced steel orders. Forgot to seal load-bearing walls. Marty cursed me out, threatened to dock my pay. I nodded, took the heat. Let the Wickham's developments down the street get the shipments instead. Their projects thrived, on paper. Clara's father strutted through a ribbon cutting for a new office tower, smirking at the cameras. I watched the clip on a job site lunch break, my sandwich tasting like sawdust. The reporter didn't ask about the Queen's collapse. Of course not. Then the balcony gave way. Not the Queen's one, a new one at the Wickham's flagship hotel. A bride and groom posing for photos, her veil fluttering into the lobby below. The video went viral. Screams, crumbling stone, the groom's hand bloody but gripping the railing. No deaths. I made sure of that. The family's lawyer held a press conference, blaming subcontractor negligence. I recognized the name on the subpoena, a guy from my old crew, a single dad with a meth habit. Easy to buy. Clara texted that night. You happy now? I didn't reply, just scrolled through the leaked emails popping up online. Marcus Wickham. Cost cutting's gone too far. Except Marcus never wrote that. I'd pasted his name into a draft I'd found in Clara's brother's trash folder. Family turn on family. At the diner, over pie I didn't eat, Marcus slid into my booth. His knuckles were split. Dad thinks I ratted. Did you? Doesn't matter. He dropped a USB drive into my coffee. Offshore accounts. Passwords are Clara's birthday. The waitress refilled my cup. Anniversary boy again? Just coffee, I said. And maybe a reckoning. Marcus' USB drive sat on my dashboard, glowing like a cheap casino chip. I drove to the library. No home internet since the Wickhams canceled my plan, and logged into their offshore accounts using Clara's birthday. June 12, 1990. The password worked. Of course it did. The Wickhams were arrogant, not smart. The numbers made me laugh. Not because they were big, but because they were small. All that condescension, all those diamond-studded charity galas, and the family's empire was propped up by a few million stashed in the Caymans. I copied every transaction, every shell company, and mailed a thumb drive to the IRS. Anonymous. Let them chew on that. But paper trails take time. I wanted something louder. The Wickham's newest project was a retirement community called Evergreen Estates. Clara's father had called it legacy work in a press release. The renderings showed smiling seniors playing chess under oak trees. The reality was particle board walls and PVC pipes thinner than drinking straws. I'd warned them about the soil erosion, but they'd slapped down sod like a Band-Aid and called it landscaping. I waited for rain. When the storm hit, I parked down the block and watched. The gutters overflowed by midnight. By 2 a.m., the sod peeled back like dead skin, exposing the foundation. By sunrise, the east wing sagged into the mud. Windows cracked like spiderwebs. The news vans beat the construction crews. Clara's brother did the talking this time. His hair shellacked into a helmet. An act of God, he called it. God's got nothing to do with it. Marty fired me the next day. You're making waves, he said, tossing my final check into a puddle. Wickham's own half my suppliers. Can't afford your crusade. I fished the check out, let the ink bleed. Who's left? He spat. Try Rodriguez. He's desperate. Rodriguez, contracting, operated out of a laundromat. The office smelled like detergent and regret. The man himself had a gold tooth and a .38 in his desk drawer. I don't ask questions, he said, sliding over a work order. The job? Demolishing the Wickham's first project, a strip mall from the 90s that was rotting faster than their reputation. I took the sledgehammer to the walls myself. Drywall dust choked the air, sticking to my sweat. Every swing felt like confession. This is for the prenup. This is for the cameras. This is for Frank. When I found the time capsule behind the food court's cornerstone, I almost missed it. A rusted lunchbox filled with photos of the original crew. Clara's father, young and smug in a hard hat. A receipt for bribes paid to a fire marshal. And a love letter to a woman who wasn't his wife. I texted Marcus, how much you want to bet Mom Wickham doesn't know about Dad's business trip to Atlantic City in '93? He replied in 5 seconds, meet me. We sat in his car outside the Wickham compound, engine off. He smelled like bourbon and fear. They're auditing the books, he said. Dad's losing it. Blames Clara. Blames me. Even blamed the damn dog. You want out? I handed him the love letter. He read it, laughed until he coughed. Aunt Patricia's gonna burn the house down. Not yet. I kept the photos. We wait. Clara came to me that night. Not to the diner, not to some shadowy parking lot, to the motel I was renting by the hour. She pounded on the door like a cop. You look like hell, I said. She did. Her hair was frizzing out of its ponytail, her blouse wrinkled. No pearls. Call off the IRS, she hissed. Or what? You'll divorce me harder. She stepped inside, her heels sticking to the carpet. They'll kill you, Ethan. Not metaphorically. My brother's been taking shooting lessons. I tossed her the Evergreen Estates photos, the mud, the cracks, the seniors being evacuated in bathrobes. Tell me, Clara, which one of these widows do you think your brother's bullet should have saved? She flinched. For a second, I saw her. The real her, buried under the Botox and bullshit. Why are you doing this? You made it personal, I said. I'm just returning the favor. The arrest happened live on CNN. I watched it at the laundromat, eating gas station sushi. Clara's father being perp-walked out of the Wickham Tower, his cuffs too tight. The reporter said tax evasion. I knew the feds had found the love letter too. Marcus texted, Mom's filing for divorce. Told you. I didn't answer, just scrubbed concrete dust out of my jeans and wondered why revenge tasted like copper. Clara called 17 times. I let go to voicemail. On the 18th, I picked up. She was crying. Not the pretty, mascara-dabbed tears from our wedding. Ugly, snotty sobs. They took everything. The house. The cars. The foundation was rotten, I said. You should have listened. I hung up, turned off my phone, and slept for 12 hours. When I woke up, there was a package at my door. Inside was a sledgehammer. No note. None needed. The sledgehammer leaned against the motel wall like a threat. Or an invitation. I didn't touch it. Not yet. The feds came first. They subpoenaed me on a Tuesday. The agent had a handshake like wet newspaper and a tie with tiny ducks on it. Just routine, he said, like I didn't know he'd already subpoenaed Clara's brother, her father's mistress, and the family dog walker. The hearing room smelled like lemon disinfectant and failure. I sat at a table that wobbled, answering questions with yes, no, and I don't recall. Let the documents do the talking. The photos of cracked foundations, the receipts for substandard rebar, the love letter from Clara's father to a woman named Gloria. The Wickham's lawyer, a shark in a skirt suit, tried to paint me as a scorned husband. Isn't this all just revenge? I looked at the judge. No, ma'am. It's physics. They recessed early. Clara ambushed me in the parking lot. No BMW anymore. She drove a rented Kia. The bumper dented. You're enjoying this, she spat. Enjoying what? The part where your dad laundered money? Or where your brother tried to frame a meth head for manslaughter? She shoved a manila envelope at me. Inside, photos of us at Coney Island, the Ferris wheel lit up behind our tangled shadows. Remember this? You swore you protect me. From what? Yourself. I tossed the envelope onto her hood. You didn't need protecting. You needed a doormat. She flinched, then hardened. Sign this. Another document. A non-disclosure agreement. We'll pay. Enough to start over. I laughed, pulled out the USB drive Marcus had given me. The one with offshore account details, bribes, and the timestamp video of her father okaying the Queen's inspection. How much to keep this from the feds? Her face went sheet white. You wouldn't. I slid the drive into her palm. Already did. The press conference was supposed to save them. Clara's father stood at a podium draped with a Wickham logo, his suit hanging loose. He lost weight. Baseless allegations, he croaked. A disgruntled family member. I watched from Marty's bar, nursing a whiskey. The TV flickered as the feed cut to Marcus storming the stage, shoving his father. Liar. You knew about the beams. You told me to falsify reports. The camera jerked, catching Clara's brother tackling Marcus. Punches thrown. Podium toppling. A mic hit the floor with a screech. Marty whistled. Merry fucking Christmas. That night, the Wickham compound burned. Not the whole thing, just the guest house. Fire trucks wailed past my motel. Marcus texted, how to make it look real. I didn't ask. Clara called again. I let it ring, staring at the sledgehammer. When the voicemail popped up, her voice was raw. They're seizing the assets. The house. The cars. The everything. I deleted it. The auction was held in a courthouse basement. A board clerk droned through bids for Wickham properties. I waited until the end. Lot 48, Harbor Crest Development. Condemned. Opening bid, $500. I raised my hand. The gavel fell. Sold to? John Doe, I said. The clerk shrugged. Cash only. I paid in 20s from a duffel bag. Clara found me at the site. She wore jeans, no makeup, looked human. What are you going to do? Build a monument to your ego. I hefted the sledgehammer. Nah, just returning the favor. The first swing felt like forgiveness. The wrecking ball swung at dawn. I'd hired the biggest crane in the city, the kind that rattled windows 3 blocks over. The Harbor Crest skeleton groaned as steel met concrete, dust billowing like smoke signals. A crowd gathered, construction lifers, reporters, a few Wickham loyalists glaring from their Lexuses. I stood on the sidewalk, coffee in hand, and watched my old life crumble. Clara showed up halfway through. She traded her blazers for a cheap polyester pantsuit, her hair pulled into a frayed ponytail. Real estate name tag pinned crooked on her chest. Clara Wickham, associate agent. The Wickham was half scratched off. You're really doing this? She shouted over the noise. I sipped my coffee. Demolition's free therapy. She stepped closer, her perfume drowned out by cement dust. They're calling you a hero online. You know that, right? The guy who exposed corruption. I nodded at the crane. Heroes don't charge $200 an hour for wrecking shit. The ball swung again. A support beam snapped, the penthouse, where she'd handed me those papers, collapsing like a sandcastle. Clara flinched. Why'd you buy it? She asked. Same reason you married me. Cheap thrills. She laughed, bitter and sharp. You always were an asshole. Learn from the best. We stood there, 2 ghosts in the rubble, until her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, lips tightening. Open house. Mid-tier, split level. Charming fixer-upper. She pocketed the phone. You gonna gloat every time I sell a toilet? I crushed my empty cup. Nah, not your problem now. She left without saying goodbye. Some habits die hard. The rebuild took 6 months. Affordable housing, 16 units, brick and steel. No rooftop gardens, no marble foyers, just decent walls and windows that shut. I hired my old Carter crew. The burnouts and rookies paid him double time. Marty stopped by once, spat at the foundation. Sentimental bullshit. It's called a tax write-off, I said. He smirked. Bullshit. The day we finished, Marcus texted, new project. Bigger. Wickeder. You in? I deleted it. Let the Wickhams cannibalize themselves. The dog came later. A 3-legged pit bull someone dumped at the site, all ribs and growls. I fed him leftover Chinese, named him Bruiser. He slept in my truck, chewed through 2 seatbelts, and pissed on every Wickham for sale sign we passed. Clara's listings kept dropping in price. Tonight, I'm on the roof of the new building. Harbor Light, the sign says in letters bright enough to piss off the yacht club, leaning on the ledge. Bruiser's snoring at my feet, a half-eaten burrito in his jaws. The city's quiet for once, just the hum of streetlights and the occasional siren. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. You win. Clara. Has to be. I type back. Not a game. No reply. Doesn't matter. Bruiser farts in his sleep. The wind picks up, carrying salt and diesel. Somewhere below, a kid's laughing, chasing a hoop with a stick. It's enough. I light a cigarette, the match hissing, and toss it into the dark. Watch the ember fall like a tiny comet. No grand speech, no victory lap, just a man, a dog, and a building that won't collapse.